When you go in those sheltered workshops, you lose any chance of dreams or goals. I can't tell you how many things I was told I couldn't do.
Carrie Warner, a white woman with curly hair and burgundy glasses, sitting on her couch in her living room with a vase of flowers to her right. Then, text on screen over footage of dark blue buttons being sorted into jars.
A sheltered workshop is a place where people with disabilities work in segregated environments.
Neil Romano, former Assistant Secretary of Labor, a white man in a suit and glasses sitting in his office.
We have a Supreme Court ruling that says that separate but equal is inherently unequal. And these places are inherently unequal. Some sheltered workshops use a certificate called a 14C certificate.
Text on screen over footage of buttons strewn on a table.
A 14C certificate allows a business to pay people with disabilities less than minimum wage.
Neil.
It shocked me that was even possible, but then to find out that it was not only possible, but that it was legal.
Text on screen over footage of buttons being placed on a table.
According to the Department of Labor, 841 organizations have applied for a 14C certificate as of December 1st, 2023.
Establishing shot of Harvey, North Dakota. There's a sign in front of a field that says, "Welcome to Harvey," in large letters. Then, Carrie standing proudly in front of her home, and inside on the couch.
My name is Carrie Warner, and I used to work at a sheltered workshop.
My main disability is I have autism.
Carrie cutting buttons off of shirts. She has a scornful look on her face.
You are given menial jobs, such as cutting buttons off of shirts and putting them into jars. I used to do this 8 hours a day for $2.25 an hour.
Text on screen while footage of buttons being sifted through Carrie's hands plays in the background.
14C wages have no minimum. Some workers get paid pennies per hour.
Carrie.
I think the highest paycheck I ever got once was $152.76.
Carrie sitting at a table sorting buttons into piles.
I think that's incredibly unfair. It basically just keeps people in abject poverty.
Neil.
I feel that a 14C certificate is nothing more than a federal license to abuse people with disabilities. If you're an employer and you've got cheap labor, why would you want to direct them to go work at Walmart starting at $17.50 an hour? Why would you do that? You know, when you can keep them at $1.50, $3 an hour, you wouldn't do that.
Carrie swiftly cutting buttons off shirts, then sorting them into a jar labeled blue.
If you say to a sheltered workshop owner that they are a place of employment, they'll say, no, we're not employment. We don't do employment here. We're a training program.
Neil.
When someone is in your training program for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're either an awful trainer or you have absolutely no desire to see that person trained and moved along. It is not part of what the sheltered workshop is trying to do, to move them into integrated employment.
Carrie.
Last time I looked, I did not see anywhere in a classified section, help wanted, person who can cut buttons off of shirts and put into jars. There is no clamoring for that in the job market anywhere.
Dissolved to text on screen. Footage of unorganized buttons plays in the background.
Congregate settings like sheltered workshops can rapidly spread disease, putting people with disabilities at risk. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, if a workshop closed down, many workers weren't entitled to benefits.
We found out that a lot of the workers were still being covered as trainees, so they weren't entitled to any benefits. So during COVID, when some of the workshops closed, they weren't entitled to unemployment, they weren't entitled to anything. This is outrageous.
Carrie gathers buttons from the table and drops them into a jar. Then, Carrie on the couch.
My mom was my guardian at the time when I was in the workshop. After I became my own guardian in 2009, I no longer qualified to be in the workshop, and so that's how I got out. It took about 10 years for me to get a job after the sheltered workshop.
This is my house. I bought it.
With the sweep of her arm, Carrie stands in front of her house, happily showing it off. Then, Carrie in community at church, listening to sermons and participating in a group prayer.
I'm so happy I'm a part of a church. I try to do as much as I can in the community because I want to be a part of the community.
Neil.
When you put someone in a sheltered workshop, you are basically saying they are not valuable.
Beside a pile of similar checkered shirts, Carrie sits at her table and cuts off the buttons.
It really hurts me and it hurts a lot of other people with disabilities because the number one thing that people always want is just to be accepted. And we can't be accepted. And it just hurts us.
Close up of Carrie fidgeting with the button.
I'd love to see the phasing out of 14C completely from a federal level, done in a fair way, an honest way.
Neil.
The states also have a huge responsibility, as we have seen a lot of the really good progress to eliminate 14C being done at the state level. Matter of fact, some of it's even been done at the local level.
As of 2024, 18 states have phased out segregated sheltered workshops or sub-minimum wages, or have made plans to do so.
Map of the United States showing the 18 states that have phased out segregated sheltered workshops highlighted in blue, listed at the end of the video.
So this gets back to the answer of, what are you going to do?
These places need to become a thing of the past.
Text on screen. People with disabilities deserve meaningful, competitive, integrated employment. To learn more, contact Disability Rights Tennessee at www.disabilityrightstn.org or 1-800-342-1660. Disability Rights Tennessee logo, an icon to the left of text. The icon is 5 multicolored rectangles coming out of the same point to form an abstract shape. The text to the right of the icon says Disability Rights TN in all capital letters with a white outline on 2 lines. On top, the word disability in purple. Beneath that, rights in light blue and TN in purple. The 18 states highlighted on the map that have phased out segregated sheltered workshops include Alaska, California, Colorado, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington.